1045 The Team and 1045theteam.com. Levack and Goz joining us. And you could hear this guy 12-4 right here on 1045 The Team. Laura Rutledge, Doug Kazarian as well. It's Myron Medcalf. And he covers college hoops for ESPN. And let's get off the top here. Let's figure out who the top team is. Myron, in your opinion, who is the best team right now in college basketball?
You know, I think there are a couple of contenders, man. You look how Duke is playing now without Marvin Bagley. Now that they switched to zone, they're definitely up there. Michigan State, I saw them last week. I mean, they look amazing, especially with the way Jaren Jackson's playing. Virginia is playing some of the best defense in America, literally some of the best defense we've ever seen in modern college basketball. But to me, Villanova and what I saw at Xavier, and I was there at the game, when Villanova goes to that elite level offensively, there's just no team in America that can touch them. And I think Villanova is America's best team, and I think they just have a brand of basketball, the experience, the skill, a Wooden Award winner maybe in Jalen Brunson. And I just think Villanova is America's best team, but they're going to have to prove it here in a few weeks.
See, you said maybe the Wooden Award winner in Brunson. Is that because you don't believe he's the best player, or do you believe the media hype still might be a lot around Oklahoma player Trae Young?
Well, I mean, I vote in the Wooden Award, you know? So, and I'm not sure which way I'm going to vote, to be honest. I mean, I think Trae Young clearly is a special talent who's struggling right now. The thing you have to weigh is Trae Young struggling because he's just not as good as we thought, or is Trae Young struggling because every single opponent is creating strategies to stop him, and they know that if you stop him and slow him down, you get the win because the rest of the guys around him aren't that good. So for me, Jalen Brunson, if it's about winning, you got to give Jalen Brunson as much of a shot, if not more, than Trae Young right now, considering how well that Villanova is playing. But it's definitely going to be an interesting call. Like I said, I vote in the Wooden Award. I don't know which way I'm leaning.
He hosts right here, 1045 The Team, Saturdays 12-4 with Laura Rutledge and Doug Kazarian. It's Myron Medcalf joining us here on the phone lines on Levack and Goz on 1045 The Team. Now, here in upstate New York, it is snowing. Yesterday it was beautiful. Now it's snowing out like crazy. And we watch as Syracuse loses to the North Carolina Tar Heels. But now they have the Duke Blue Devils coming up this weekend. Syracuse is, again, for what it seems like to be 5 years in a row, is a bubble team. If they're able to beat the Duke Blue Devils, is that a worthy NCAA tournament team in your mind for Syracuse?
I think if you beat Duke, you're in. I mean, I think they might be in right now, barely. But if you beat this Duke team, I think that definitely makes it feasible to feel a lot more comfortable about your place. I mean, especially since you got to go on the road. I mean, if you go to Cameron and you beat that Duke team that's playing really hot right now, even without Marvin Bagley, like, it's one thing when you don't have your star player and you slow down and the selection committee says, well, they're not the same team without him, but Duke is still winning games without Bagley. So that would definitely be a huge win for Syracuse, which, like you said, is always on the bubble. I think the way that Frank Howard's playing, they had a shot against North Carolina. I mean, it was right there, and they just couldn't put together that late run. But I think they got to go into this game Saturday feeling like if we win this, we're in, and if we lose, we have no guarantees. But if we win, we're in, and that's how they have to compete.
And I felt this so much 2 years ago when Syracuse seemed to be a bubble team, but they get in the tournament, and so many people yelled and screamed that they shouldn't have been in, but they make that run all the way to the Final Four. And I know it's coming again in about another 2 weeks where people are going to look at resumes and say, well, look at this mid-major team who did so great in their conference play, but Syracuse is a 500 team in the ACC and barely got to 20 wins. For me, and maybe I'm biased because that's my team, but I look at the quality of wins over quality opponents, and I think that should be the difference in those comparisons to mid-majors. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, and it's not just comparison to mid-majors. It's comparisons to a bunch of these Pac-12 teams that haven't played the same competition in the ACC, these Big Ten teams that haven't played the same competition as the ACC. So I think you look at Syracuse, and you look at the fact that they're one of the best defensive teams in America. They beat Maryland. They beat a team like Virginia Tech, and then you have win over Miami and Louisville, all teams that are probably going to get into the field. Louisville still has some work to do. I would agree that I think they have some of the quality wins, and I think you look at them and you say, again, can they win games in the tournament? Is this a tournament team? And I think a win Saturday would prove as much. If they keep losing, though, that's going to be a hard thing to prove. They're not a great shooting team, and they got to do a lot more to get in the bubble, get inside the bubble, and make sure they're in.
Absolutely. Myron Medcalf joins us here on the phone lines on 1045 The Team. So we talked about teams that may or may not be in the tournament, the best teams in the country. Is there one, maybe two teams in your mind that right now, as you sit in late February, are very underappreciated and they could make a run with the ranked seeding in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think Wichita State's dangerous. I mean, I think what they did against Cincinnati on the road was big. I mean, Cincinnati had been playing defense comparable to what Virginia had been doing. And for them to, go into Cincinnati and play that well, I think says a lot about Greg Marshall and that team. They got a kid named Landry Shamet, who might be a first-round pick. So I think you combine that with the veterans they have on that roster, the depth that they have on that roster. I think Wichita State is one of those teams where the defense is definitely a concern. But overall, I think when they want to play it, they have the athletes to play better defense. And I think that's a team to watch out for.
Wichita State, the Shockers, they made a Final Four run just a few years ago. And for me, and I know hopefully for a lot of college basketball fans, when we hear the term March Madness, it's not just the NCAA tournament. When March 1st rolls around and the conference tournaments get underway and you see maybe that big upset of the top seed go down, you see a wild buzzer beater, that's all a part of it for me. Now, we have this debate here locally because Siena hosts the MAC tournament. Some would say have a huge advantage because it's in their home arena in America East. It goes to the top-seeded team for the championship. Is there a perfect formula? Is there something that you would say, hey, if all the conferences did it this way, then it would add to the excitement that is March Madness?
Yeah. I think the conference champion in every I'll say Power 8 league because, the American and Atlantic 10 and Mountain West and West Coast Conference, they're going to do their own things. But in a league like you're talking about, I think the conference champ should host the conference tournament. And I think the conference champion, regular season champion, should get an automatic bye to the title game.
Ooh.
And everybody else has to compete for a shot to play them in the title game in the automatic bid. But I think if you are a conference champion, you should have an automatic bye in those auto bid leagues to the title game. That, to me, is fair. If you do all this hard work throughout the season and you are, the king of the conference, you deserve to have the advantages and have the inside track to getting into the tournament. It's not fair that these mid-major leagues, these teams fight all for January, February, March, and all of a sudden they're just discarded as if their seasons never mattered. If you win your regular season championship, I think you deserve an automatic trip to the title game.
And it puts more value on the regular season, like you said. Now, some would say, well, the NIT's big, but we all know the big goal. The goal is to get to the NCAA tournament. You're the first person that I can remember that had that theory, and I really like it, man. I think a lot of people here in upstate New York might like it as well. At Medcalf by ESPN. Send your tweets over there if you agree with Myron. If you don't like it, still send the tweets over to Myron. Myron Medcalf, you can catch him right here on 104.5 The Team, 12 to 4 on Saturdays with Doug Kazarian and Laura Rutledge. Myron, appreciate the time, man. When you head into March, I'm sure your phone's going to light up again from us here in the Capital Region. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.